Hey y'all, it's Lindsey. It's another monthly focus video where I recap the previous month and tell you what my focal points or foci or objectives are going to be for the upcoming month. If that's interesting to you, I hope you stick around. First, if you are new here, I am Lindsey. I do put out content as it pertains to a low-carb, keto-friendly way of life. I do a lot of what I eat in a day videos. I do some grocery hauls occasionally. I share recipes, and sometimes we sit down and have these kind of chats where I just sort of, pontificate on the things that are on my mind. If those things sound interesting to you, I would love to have you consider subscribing and sticking around. For my returning viewers, thank you so much for being here. I would love an update on your focal points from the previous month, which was March, in the comments down below. Also, if you're new, I wouldn't mind hearing what kind of things you focused on and then how those things went in the comments as well. You're not excluded from that. In the month of March, I decided to actually track my progress for my things that I was staying focused on. I am not a tracker. If you have been around the block with me before, you know I hate tracking. It's the bane of my existence. I do not enjoy it at all. However, I committed to doing that for this month so I could have some real information at the end of the month to be able to analyze, assess, determine how to move forward, progress and all that jazz. So that's exactly what I did. To start, let's assess March. I had several different objectives. I wanted to exercise on a daily basis. I wanted to simplify my food, and as sort of like a sub-objective underneath that, I wanted to make sure I was reducing the amount of desserts I was having. I'm a very competent person in the kitchen. I can easily create all kinds of low-carb and keto-friendly desserts and treat them as if they were health foods when they're still an actual dessert treat thing. So I wanted to sort of rein that in a bit. Subset B on that objective was I wanted to be sure to get some L-reuteri fermented dairy in my daily diet so I could just really continue to see the benefits from the L-reuteri dairy. What was the other ones? Oh, piano practice. I have a goal to learn to be able to play piano. It has been a goal of mine for, I don't know, decades at this point. So I'm really hammering down and focusing on that goal. And the last thing I really wanted to do was to regain control when it came to complacency in my life. I find that when we get comfortable, we tend to just go with the flow to the point where we become complacent in the things we would like to achieve in our lives. So I wanted to sort of recapture the control over my complacency. I exercised intentionally 18 out of 31 days for the month of March. That's pretty decent considering the previous month I flopped entirely. So I felt really good about that. The weather has been cruddy around here in central Ohio. I did a lot of indoor workouts, a lot of indoor walking, a lot of just like floor core exercises here in the house. My hope is that as the weather improves, we can get out and do some more fresh air activity and get some of that delightful fresh air. On the food category, for simplifying the foods and not having as many desserts, it was better than it could have been, okay? Let's be honest. I was much more intentional with knowing I'm going to have to make my little symbol. I did a lot of different symbols on my calendar so I could keep all those things straight. I was gonna have to actually intentionally put my little icon on every single day that I had dessert. And therefore I was a little more mindful of not just doing a flyby. That's what I call just like swooping through the kitchen, snagging, like a handful of chocolate chips that are sugar-free and then keep going. So I was mindful. I wound up with 12 days out of 31 where I had a dessert. My husband's birthday was in the month of March, and so those desserts kind of linger. There were some other opportunities where I was like, ooh, I really want to create something special here. I want to do something there. And I think that 12 out of 31 is much better than it could have been. We'll just leave it at that. For the L-reuteri dairy, started the month off really strong, very strong. I ate my L-Reuteri dairy 13 days out of 31. So the first couple of weeks I was like Johnny on the spot. I was doing it. It was great. And I decided sometime in the middle of the month that I really need to do another little experiment with myself. So I sort of steered away from the L-Reuteri fermented dairy for a while. Therefore, less than 50% score on that one. And I'm also not sure I'm bringing that one back. As for piano, I did so great with this. I did piano practice, which was between like 10 minutes up to an hour, some days a little more than an hour, because I would just, oh, there's the piano, I'm gonna just hop on and play for 10 minutes. I did 26 out of 31 days practicing piano. I am so jazzed about that. I actually feel like my skills are improving. Everything's starting to flow a little bit better. I feel really good about that one. Piano is for sure gonna maintain its status on my focus list, my objectives, my goals, and it's nice to see little bits of progress on that particular goal. As for regaining control over my complacency, I will say the thing that helped me the most was tracking and tracking in paper. I think though that I can still be somewhat complacent when it comes to being busy. And in those moments where I'm busy, I wind up forgetting to prepare myself something specific to eat. So I fall back on things like pepper jack cheese and pepperonis. And I've done a really good job of trying to keep the snacking to a smaller amount. However, it's not completely eradicated. And I find that snacking falls under the category of a complacent version of myself. So I might be tweaking things in the future for reharnessing the control over complacency. So that was March. And what am I going to carry forth in April? What am I doing in April just so that I can continue to try to improve on myself? First things first, I am going to continue to work on the exercise piece. I want to tone up. I want to be more just physically strong. That matters to me. Even if I still appear a little squishy, I just want to have muscles that work and serve me well. I want to have a limber enough body to keep up with my children and keep doing things in this capacity, I suppose. So exercise will still be on my list. My simplifying of my diet, I am going to try my best to continue limiting the number of desserts. Now, my birthday comes in the month of April, so I know at some point I will be making myself a birthday dessert, and I will be consuming that dessert, and not just on one day. I have complete awareness of that, so I'm not gonna go into this week, or this month, it's not a week, it's a month, with any kind of lofty expectations on myself when I know the real situation is that I'm going to have dessert. And while it will be a low carb, sugar-free option, it's still going to happen. I'm gonna give myself a little bit of leeway on that, and I hope to just improve on my March numbers. So I did what? 12 days out of 31 having a dessert. The month of April, I'd like to reduce that down to like no more than 7 days. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Pianoing is going to still be an everyday occurrence. We are going to go to KetoCon this year, which is sort of at the back third of April. And I don't have, like my parent will be going through my parents. And so there's probably gonna be a solid week of me not having access to my keyboard, and that'll be okay. That will be okay. I can still do things. I use the app Simply Piano, and that app is really great. You can go through and do practices and things like that, sort of like little flashcards and things on the app if you don't have access to a keyboard right then and there. So I'll still be able to keep up on my theory and that sort of thing while we're traveling, but the act of playing, the actual art of playing piano, will kind of be at a standstill on the back half of the month, or back third, I guess, really. Harnessing my complacency. I think the thing I'm going to continue doing to help that is continue tracking on paper. I know it seems a little archaic to some people. For me, tracking on paper is really useful and helpful, so that is why I do it that way. I'm going to continue tracking. That will continue to focus my mind on not being complacent in those choices I make. So yeah, I think that's gonna be my April. Knowing that we're traveling, I'm trying not to come at the month with a lot of hyper lofty goals or objectives or focal points. And I'm just trying to be a little bit more mindful that sometimes the best goals are to just maintain the ones that you already have. That's what I'm gonna do. My hair is driving me nuts. It's all like staticky. We're dry in the house. It's rainy outside. I'm struggling. That's what I have for you today. I have my March foci video, if you will. I'm gonna have that kind of lingering over here if you wanna go check that one out. YouTube also does a really great job of recommending what video they think you might wanna watch next. So that one will be right over there as well, and I hope to see you there.